The coffee was shit, but I drank it anyway. Seattle rain hammered against the apartment window like it had a personal vendetta, which honestly matched my mood. My phone buzzed for the 15th time in 10 minutes, and I ignored it for the 15th time because whoever needed me that badly could wait until I'd caffeinated enough to pretend I cared. I'm Elliot Hayes, 28, single dad, part-time kindergarten assistant, full-time disaster, and oh yeah, I can read minds. Not all the time, not on purpose. It's more like emotional radio static that decides to blast through my skull whenever someone nearby is feeling something intense. Joy, rage, lust, fear. It all bleeds into my head uninvited, unwanted, and usually at the worst possible moment. 5 years of suppressants keep my omega biology on lockdown. 5 years of avoiding downtown Seattle like it's radioactive. 5 years of pretending I don't dream about three identical faces every single night. My phone buzzed again. Dada, your phone is having a seizure, Silas called from his bedroom, voice muffled through the wall. I smiled despite myself. My son, my entire world, my beautiful, terrifying, impossible secret. It's called vibrating, baby. It's called annoying. 4 years old and already a smartass. I had no idea where he got that from. Absolutely none. I grabbed my phone, ready to silence it permanently, when I saw the notification preview. Your son's artwork is going viral. Check the school page. My stomach dropped. The coffee mug slipped from my fingers, shattering against the kitchen tile. Brown liquid spread across the floor like a bad omen, and my hands started shaking before my brain could catch up to why. Silas's teacher had posted something on social media about my son. I clicked the notification with trembling fingers, and the world tilted sideways. There it was. Silas's Christmas art project, photographed in bright classroom lighting, posted to the school's public Instagram with 47,000 likes and counting. The drawing showed four figures, three tall ones labeled in Silas's wobbly handwriting, Dad, Daddy, and Papa. One shorter figure, me with Mommy, crossed out and rewritten as Dada. But that wasn't the part that made my lungs forget how to work. It was the details. Silas had drawn a watch on Dad's wrist. Not just any watch, a specific platinum Patek Philippe with a black face and diamond markers. The exact watch Dominic Sterling wore the night I met him. Daddy wore a signet ring on his right hand. Ruby center stone, family crest, Adrian's ring. Papa had a tattoo sleeve on his left arm. Geometric patterns, Norse-inspired, Mason's ink. And the background. God, the background. Silas had drawn the Seattle skyline exactly as it appears from the 63rd floor of Sterling Tower. The Space Needle positioned perfectly to the left, Mount Rainier barely visible through atmospheric perspective, the bay glittering with tiny crayon boats. A building my 4-year-old had never visited, a view he'd never seen. Except he had, somehow, through blood, through bond, through whatever cosmic joke made him an enigma instead of a normal alpha or omega. My son, my baby, who I'd hidden from the world, from them, from everything, had just told 47,000 people exactly who his fathers were. The caption read, "Our little artists and their beautiful families." This sweet boy told us all about his three dads who work in the biggest building in the sky. Number Modern Family, number Christmas art, number Love is Love. I was going to vomit. No, first I was going to kill that teacher. Then I was going to vomit. My phone buzzed again, a text from my best friend, Maya. Elliot, is that Silas's drawing? It's everywhere. CNN just picked it up. CNN. I pulled up Twitter with shaking hands. The drawing was trending. Number 3 dads. Number Seattle mystery. Number who are they looking for? Someone had already started a Reddit thread. Kid draws 3 dads with eerily specific details. Internet detectives, do your thing. The top comment, that watch is a $180K Patek Philippe. The ring looks like Sterling family crest. The tattoo matches Mason Sterling's sleeve. Are we talking about these Sterling triplets? 12,000 upvotes. I couldn't breathe. The apartment walls pressed inward, and that familiar electric panic crawled up my spine, the feeling that always came right before my ability went haywire. Emotions crashed into my skull from the neighbors. Mrs. Chen downstairs, irritated about parking. The college kid next door, anxious about finals. Someone 3 apartments over, grieving and alone. I slammed my mental shields up, forcing the voices out, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. They were going to see this. The Sterling triplets. Seattle's most ruthless, powerful, untouchable alphas. The three men I'd run from 5 years ago. The three men who'd spent every night since searching for me. The three men who had no idea they had a son. Dada? Silas appeared in the kitchen doorway, his little face scrunched with concern. Why does your heart sound scared? Enigma senses. He could hear my pulse from across the room, smell the fierce sweat beating on my neck, probably taste the adrenaline in the air. I'm okay, baby. The lie tasted like ash. Just surprised. About my drawing? His face lit up, excitement replacing concern in that mercurial way only kids managed. Mrs. Peterson said it was beautiful. She said lots of people love it. It is beautiful. I crouched down, pulling him into my arms, breathing in his scent vanilla and something sharper, something that didn't quite match Omega or Alpha. Something other. You're so talented. Do you think my dads will see it? He asked against my shoulder, voice small and hopeful in a way that cracked my chest open. Do you think they'll know it's them? My throat closed. Because yes, they would know. Across the city, in a penthouse office 63 floors above Seattle, three identical alphas were probably looking at that drawing right now. And when they came for us because they would come, I had exactly zero idea what I was going to say. Hi, remember me? The Omega you had one incredible, terrifying, life-changing night with 5 years ago? Surprise, your father's. Also, our son is an enigma, which means half the supernatural world will want to dissect him. Sorry I didn't call. My phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number. Seattle area code. The preview made my blood turn to ice. We need to talk. Sterling Tower. Tonight. Don't run again. D, A, and M. My thumb hovered over the delete button. One tap. That's all it would take to pretend I never saw the message. Pretend three alphas I'd been hiding from for 5 years hadn't just casually demanded my presence like I was some employee they could summon. Dada, your scared smell is getting louder. I looked down at Silas, still wrapped in my arms. His gray eyes, their eyes watching me with that unnerving enigma awareness that made him seem ancient instead of 4. I'm not scared, I lied. Your heartbeat says you're lying. He patted my chest like he was comforting me. It's okay. I get scared sometimes too. God, I love this kid. And I'd die before I let anyone take him from me. Even his biological fathers. Especially his biological fathers. I stood up, setting Silas on his feet, and forced my voice into something resembling calm. How about we clean up this coffee mess, and then you can watch cartoons while I make lunch? Can I have dinosaur nuggets? You can have whatever you want, baby. His face split into a grin, and he darted back toward his room, already shouting about which episode of Bluey he wanted to watch. The resilience of children, the ability to move from emotional crisis to cartoon negotiations in 30 seconds flat. I envied him. My phone buzzed again, another text from the same unknown number. We just saw the drawing. The school gave us your contact information. We need to talk. Please. The coffee mug pieces on the floor suddenly seemed very sharp, very throwable. The school gave them my number. Of course they did. 3 powerful alpha CEOs show up claiming parental connection, and the school probably tripped over themselves handing over my information. Privacy laws meant nothing when you had enough money and influence. My hands clenched into fists, and I felt that dangerous heat building behind my eyes, the warning sign that my ability was about to stop playing nice. Breathe, Elliot. Shields up. Don't accidentally broadcast your panic to the entire apartment complex. I grabbed the broom from the closet and started sweeping up the shattered ceramic, focusing on the repetitive motion instead of the emotional avalanche trying to bury me. Another buzz. Is he ours? The details in that drawing. The watch, the ring, the tattoo. He drew things he couldn't possibly know unless the message cut off. Like whoever was typing couldn't finish the sentence. I stopped sweeping. Because yeah, that was the question, wasn't it? How did Silas know details about 3 men he'd never met? How did he draw a view from a building he'd never visited? How did he write their names when I'd never spoken them aloud? Enigma instincts. Biological recognition. Whatever cosmic joke connected bloodlines across impossible distances. My phone rang. Not a text this time, a call. The screen displayed unknown number. My heart hammered against my ribs. I could ignore a text. A call felt different, more immediate, more real. It rang 3 times before I answered, pressing the phone to my ear but saying nothing. Elliot! The voice punched through the speaker, and 5 years dissolved in an instant. Deep, controlled, but with something raw underneath. Dominic Sterling, the oldest triplet, the one who'd held me first that night. Please don't hang up. My throat closed. I gripped the broom handle like it was the only thing keeping me upright. We saw the drawing, he continued when I didn't respond. We've been looking for you for 5 years. 5 years, Elliot. And now there's a child. Our child. Tell me I'm not losing my mind. Tell me that little boy is real. He's real. The words scraped out of me. His name is Silas. Silence. The kind that felt like the world holding its breath. Then, Silas. He repeated it like a prayer. Like something sacred. How old? 4. Almost 5. Another pause. I could practically hear him doing the math. He's ours. Not a question. A statement. He's mine, I corrected, sharper than intended. I carried him. I raised him. You don't get to claim possession of something you didn't know existed until 20 minutes ago. That's not fair. A different voice now, closer to the phone. Adrian. The middle triplet. The charming one. Except he didn't sound charming now. He sounded wrecked. You left, Elliot. You disappeared. We spent years searching for you, and you hid our son from us. Guilt twisted in my gut, but I shoved it down. I had my reasons. What reasons could possibly justify, he's an enigma? The words exploded out of me before I could stop them. Silence on the other end. Total, absolute silence. I just revealed my son's biggest secret to 3 alphas I hadn't seen in 5 years. 3 alphas who could destroy our lives with a single phone call to the wrong people. Stellar decisions, Elliot. Really outstanding. Say that again. The third voice. Mason. The quiet one. The one who'd held me last that night, arms wrapped around me like he could keep me safe from the entire world. You heard me. I sank down onto the kitchen floor, surrounded by broken ceramic and spilled coffee. He's an enigma. He can move objects with his mind, read emotions, see things he shouldn't be able to see. Like 3 alphas he's never met. Like a building he's never visited. Christ. Dominic's voice turned rough. Elliot, do you understand what this means? If people find out, you think I don't know? I cut him off. You think I haven't spent every single day terrified someone would notice? Would take him? Would experiment on him like he's some kind of lab rat? We would never... I don't know what you would or wouldn't do. My voice cracked. I don't know you. One night 5 years ago doesn't make you safe. It doesn't make you trustworthy. It just makes you 3 strangers who happen to share DNA with my son. The silence that followed hurt worse than their anger would have. Then Mason spoke. Voice so soft I almost didn't hear it. You're scared of us. Not a question. An observation. And God help me, it was true. I was terrified of them. Terrified of what they could take. Terrified of what they could do. Terrified of how much I'd wanted them 5 years ago. How hard it had been to leave. How the incomplete bond marks still burned on my neck every time I thought about them. The drawing is everywhere, Dominic said finally. CNN picked it up. Reddit is connecting dots. It's only a matter of time before someone figures out Silas is more than just a cute kid with 3 dads. I know. My free hand pressed against my chest, trying to slow my racing heart. I'm handling it. How? Adrian's voice turned sharp. You're going to handle trained operatives? Corporate acquisition teams? Government agencies that would kill to get their hands on an enigma? I've been handling it for 5 years. But even I heard how weak that sounded. Because he was right. I'd been handling it when Silas was a secret. When we were invisible. When nobody was looking. The viral drawing changed everything. We can protect him, Mason said. We can protect both of you. Sterling Tower has security that rivals government facilities. We have resources, connections, legal teams that could bury any attempted claim on Silas so deep no one would ever find it. And what's the price? I asked bitterly. What do you want in exchange? To meet our son. Dominic's voice turned rough again. To make sure you're both safe. To, God, Elliot, we thought you were dead, or that you hated us, or that we'd done something so terrible you couldn't stand to be near us. The pain in his voice cracked something in my chest. We mourned you, Adrian added quietly. For 5 years, we mourned the Omega who disappeared from our bed. And now we find out you were alive. You were carrying our child. You were alone. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I blinked them back viciously. I wasn't alone. I had Silas. You should have had us too. And wasn't that the truth I'd been running from? The truth that woke me up at 3 a.m., sweating and aching? The truth that whispered through every incomplete bond mark? I should have had them. Silas should have had them. But fear was a powerful thing, and I'd let it steal 5 years from all of us. There's a cafe, I heard myself say. Capitol Hill, called Zeitgeist. It's public. Neutral ground. Because I wasn't stupid enough to walk into Sterling Tower without backup. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Tonight, Dominic countered immediately. That drawing has been shared 200,000 times in the last hour. We don't have time to wait. My stomach dropped. 200,000. Dada! Silas called from his room. The oven is beeping. 1 second, baby. I called back, then lowered my voice. I have a 4-year-old who needs lunch and a nap. Tonight is too soon. Then bring him. Mason's voice turned gentle. We'll order food. He can eat while we talk. Please, Elliot. Every hour that drawing spreads is another hour dangerous people have to locate you. I looked at the spilled coffee, at the broken ceramic, at my hands that wouldn't stop shaking, at the choice that wasn't really a choice at all. 6 p.m., I whispered. Zeitgeist coffee. And if you try anything, if you try to take him or claim rights you haven't earned, I will disappear so thoroughly you'll spend another 5 years searching. We won't. Dominic's voice turned into something that sounded like a vow. You have my word, all of our words. I hung up before they could say anything else. Before I could change my mind, before I could admit that part of me, the part that still felt those incomplete bond marks burning, wanted to see them again. Dada, the nuggets are getting crispy. I pushed myself off the floor, wiped my eyes, and went to feed my son. In 8 hours, his entire world was going to change. And I had no idea if I was making the best decision of my life or the worst. The dinosaur nuggets burned my fingers as I plated them, but I barely felt it. My mind was still trapped in that phone call. In Dominic's raw voice, in Adrian's accusation, in Mason's gentleness that somehow hurt worse than anger. We mourned you. I set the plate on Silas's little table, the one shaped like a mushroom that he'd picked out himself at IKEA. He bounced into the room, already chattering about his cartoon, completely unaware that in 8 hours, his life was going to detonate. Dada, why do you look sad? He climbed into his chair, gray eyes, their eyes studying my face with that uncomfortable Enigma perception. Just tired, baby. I managed to smile. Eat your nuggets before they get cold. He picked one up, then paused. Are we going somewhere tonight? My blood went cold. What makes you think that? Your brain is loud. He bit into the nugget, ketchup smearing across his chin. It keeps yelling about coffee and strangers and scary things. Right. Because my 4-year-old could read surface thoughts when my shields were down. Because that was just my life now. I crouched next to his chair, wiping the ketchup away with a napkin. We might go meet some people tonight, but it's nothing scary, okay? I promise. Is it my dad's? His voice went small and hopeful in a way that absolutely destroyed me. The ones from my drawing? How did I answer that? How did I explain that yes, we were meeting the 3 alphas who'd created him, but no, nothing about this situation was simple or safe or remotely okay? Yes, I said finally, because lying to an Enigma was pointless. We're meeting them. Silas dropped his nugget, his whole face lighting up like Christmas morning. Really, really, really? Really, really. My throat tightened. But Silas, I need you to understand something. These men, they're strangers. They might look familiar in your head, but we don't actually know them yet. So you need to stay close to me, okay? No wandering off. No using your abilities unless it's an emergency. His little face scrunched in confusion. But they're my dad's. Why would they be dangerous? Because powerful alphas always were. Because the world was cruel to people like us. Because I'd spent 5 years building walls to keep us safe, and those walls were about to come crashing down. They're not dangerous, I said carefully. But meeting them is complicated. Grown-up complicated. Because you ran away from them? I froze. How did you? I see things sometimes. He picked up his nugget again, suddenly very interested in his food. In dreams. You and 3 men who looked the same. You were happy. Then you were scared. Then you were gone. Retrocognition. He could see the past. Of course he could. Because my son wasn't just an enigma, he was a fully loaded supernatural weapon wrapped in a 4-year-old's body. I didn't run away from them, I said softly. I ran away from being scared, but you're still scared. He looked up at me, ketchup smeared and heartbreakingly perceptive. Your heartbeat is fast like a rabbit. I pulled him into a hug, breathing in his vanilla ozone scent, trying to memorize this moment before everything changed. You're too smart for your own good, you know that? Grandma says I get it from you. Despite everything, I laughed. Grandma is a traitor. He giggled against my shoulder, and for just a moment, the world felt manageable again. Then my phone buzzed. I pulled it out, still holding Silas with one arm. A news alert. Breaking. Seattle's Sterling triplets confirm paternity search. We will find our son. My vision blurred at the edges. They'd gone to the press. Already. It had been less than an hour since our phone call, and they'd already made a public statement. I clicked the article with shaking fingers. The photo showed all three of them standing outside Sterling Tower. Identical in their $1,000 suits. Identical in their devastating looks. Identical in the fierce determination carved into their faces. Dominic stood in the center, speaking into a cluster of microphones. Adrian to his right, arms crossed, jaw tight. Mason to his left, hands in his pockets. But his eyes, God, his eyes looked haunted even through the photo. The quote beneath. We've been searching for someone very important to us for 5 years. Today, we discovered we have a son. We will do everything in our power to ensure he and his father are safe and protected. To Elliot, if you're watching, please let us help you. Dada, your scared smell just got really loud. I couldn't breathe. The walls pressed inward. Emotions from the neighbors crashed through my failing shields. Confusion, curiosity, excitement from someone watching the same news report. They'd said my name, on television, to the entire world. Every person with supernatural senses in Seattle now knew an Omega named Elliot had a child with the Sterling triplets. Every organization looking for an enigma now had a name, a target. My phone rang. Maya, I answered, still holding Silas. Tell me you didn't just see. The entire world just saw it. Her voice hit a pitch only dogs should hear. Elliot James Hayes, you had a baby with the Sterling triplets, and you never told me? It's complicated. Complicated? You ghosted 3 billionaire alphas, hid their child, and I had to find out from CNN. I'm your best friend. I helped you move into that apartment. I babysit Silas. How did I not know? Because I was terrified, I shot back. Because Silas is... I cut myself off, glancing at my son who was watching me with wide eyes. Because the situation was dangerous. Maya's voice softened. How dangerous are we talking? Witness protection level dangerous. Oh my God. A pause. Elliot, you need to get out of that apartment. Now. Every supernatural with a laptop just heard your name connected to an Enigma child. He's not, I never said. You didn't have to. The Sterling triplets don't do public statements for normal kids. Everyone's already speculating about what makes this child special enough to break their 5-year silence. She was right. God, she was right. I looked at Silas, still munching his nuggets, humming to himself. So innocent, so unaware of the target now painted on his back. I'm meeting them tonight, I said quietly. 6 p.m. Zeitgeist. Public place. Smart. Maya's analytical brain kicked in. I'm coming with you. You don't have to. 3 alphas versus 1 omega? Yeah, you need backup. I'll be there at 5:45. Don't argue. She hung up before I could protest. I set my phone down, then immediately picked it back up as it buzzed again, and again, and again. Unknown numbers. News outlets requesting interviews. Someone claiming to be a distant cousin asking for money. A law firm offering representation. Someone from a supernatural research foundation wanting to discuss Silas's unique situation. My hands shook so hard I almost dropped the phone. Dada? Silas's voice pulled me back. Why are so many people talking in your head? Because my shields were crumbling. Because panic made my ability go haywire. Because dozens of people within a 3-block radius were all thinking about the Sterling triplets missing Omega, and their emotions were bleeding into my skull like poison. Curiosity, judgment, greed, hunger. So much hunger. I slammed my mental walls up so hard I saw stars. Silas flinched. Sorry, baby. I pressed my palms against my eyes. Dada's just having a loud brain day. Do you need your medicine? My suppressants. Right. I'd forgotten to take them this morning in all the chaos. I went to the cabinet, pulled out the little orange bottle, and dry swallowed 2 pills. They'd keep my heat at bay, keep my scent dampened, keep my ability somewhat controlled. Keep me functional enough to face 3 alphas in 5 hours. I checked the time. 12:47 p.m. 5 hours and 13 minutes until I had to walk into that coffee shop and face the men who'd haunted my dreams for 5 years. 5 hours to figure out what the hell I was going to say. 5 hours to decide if I was making the biggest mistake of my life. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from that same unknown number. Thank you for agreeing to meet us. We meant what we said, we just want to talk. And Elliot, we never stopped looking for you. Not once. M. Mason. The gentle one. The one who'd whispered promises against my skin that night. The one whose bond mark burned the hottest on my neck. I typed back before I could stop myself. You shouldn't have gone to the press. You just made us targets. The response came immediately. We made you protected. Anyone who comes after you now comes after Sterling Industries. We own half of Seattle's security infrastructure. You're safer now than you've been in 5 years. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Wanted to scream at the audacity of alphas who thought they could control everything, including the danger they didn't understand. But another part of me, the exhausted, terrified, lonely part, wanted to believe them. Wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to do this alone anymore. Silas finished his nuggets and slid off his chair, wrapping his small arms around my leg. Dada, you're shaking. I was. My whole body trembled like I was caught in an earthquake only I could feel. I scooped him up, holding him tight, burying my face in his hair. I'm okay. Just nervous about tonight. Will they like me? His voice went small. My dad's? My heart cracked clean in half. Baby, they're going to love you. That's not even a question. Will they like you? And there it was. The fear I'd been carrying for 5 years. The question that kept me up at night. The reason I'd run in the first place. Would they want me? Or just the Enigma child I'd given them? I don't know, I admitted. But it doesn't matter. As long as they're good to you, that's all that counts. Silas pulled back, looking at me with those 2 old eyes. That's a lie. You want them to like you too. Damn, Enigma, emotional reading. Okay, yes, I confessed. I want them to like me. But wanting something doesn't mean it'll happen. It might, he said with the simple confidence of a child who still believed in happy endings. Dreams come true sometimes. Sometimes, I agreed, even though I knew better. Even though I knew that whatever happened tonight, nothing would ever be simple again. My phone buzzed one more time. I almost ignored it, but then I saw the preview. Bring Silas's favorite snack. We'll have everything else covered. We can't wait to meet him. D.A.M. Something warm and terrifying unfurled in my chest. They were thinking about Silas's comfort, about what he might need, about making this easier for him. Maybe they weren't just powerful alphas claiming their genetic legacy. Maybe they actually cared. Or maybe I was an idiot who was about to walk straight into the same trap that had broken me 5 years ago. I looked at Silas, at his hopeful face, at the trust shining in his eyes. Go pick out what you want to wear tonight, I told him. Something nice. He squealed with excitement and raced toward his bedroom. And I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by dirty dishes and spilled coffee and the ruins of the life I'd built. In 5 hours, everything would change. I just hoped I was strong enough to survive it. I couldn't survive standing in this kitchen anymore. The walls felt like they were breathing, closing in with every passing second. I needed to move, to do something. Anything that wasn't standing here drowning in my own panic. Silas, I called toward his bedroom. Change of plans. We're going out. His little head poked around the doorframe, already wearing his Spider-Man shirt inside out. Where? Anywhere but here. I grabbed my jacket from the hook by the door. Get your shoes on, the ones with Velcro. Not the light-up ones. But the light-up ones are cooler. Velcro. Now. Something in my voice made him move without arguing. He disappeared back into his room, and I heard the telltale sounds of a 4-year-old trying to locate matching shoes in what I knew was a disaster zone of toys and clothes. My phone buzzed again. I didn't look at it. Instead, I started pacing. Kitchen to living room to kitchen. My feet traced the same path over and over while my brain spiraled through every possible disaster scenario tonight could become. They'd hate me for running. They'd take Silas. They'd try to complete the bond without my consent. They'd expose him as an enigma to get custody rights. They'd, Dada, you're making the floor nervous. I stopped mid-pace. Silas stood in the hallway, shoes on the wrong feet, watching me with concern that no 4-year-old should have to feel. The floor can't be nervous, baby. You're making me nervous then. He walked over, wobbling slightly in his backward shoes. And your thoughts are really loud again. Right. Mental shields. I reinforced them, pushing down the panic, locking it behind metaphorical walls that felt about as sturdy as tissue paper. Sorry. I knelt down and switched his shoes to the correct feet. Better? Your heartbeat is still fast. Yeah, well, that's not going away anytime soon. I stood up, grabbed his little jacket from the couch. Arms up, he complied, and I wrestled him into the jacket while he squirmed. Where are we going? The park. You can burn off energy before tonight. Will my dads be at the park? No, just us. I zipped his jacket up to his chin. And maybe Maya, if she's done freaking out. Aunt Maya uses bad words when she freaks out. Aunt Maya uses bad words when she breathes. I grabbed my keys and wallet, shoving them in my pockets. Don't repeat any of them. I already know all of them. That's what I'm afraid of. I opened the apartment door and immediately regretted it. A man stood in the hallway, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing an expensive suit that screamed professional security. He had an earpiece and the kind of stance that said, ex-military. My hand shot out, pushing Silas behind me. Elliot Hayes? The man's voice was neutral, professional, not threatening, but not friendly either. Who's asking? My other hand dug into my pocket, fingers wrapping around my keys. Not much of a weapon, but better than nothing. I'm Marcus Webb, head of security for Sterling Industries. He held up an ID badge slowly, deliberately. Mr. Sterling sent me to provide protection. We don't need protection. With respect, sir, you do. His eyes flicked to Silas, then back to me. That drawing has been shared over 300,000 times in the last 2 hours. Your building's front entrance currently has 4 news vans and approximately 20 people with cameras. My stomach dropped. You're lying. I wish I was. He pulled out a tablet, turned it to show me a live security feed. The front of my building swarmed with people, cameras, microphones, a crowd that looked more like a mob. Oh my God. There's a rear exit through the parking garage, Marcus continued. I have a vehicle waiting. I can get you and your son out safely. How do I know you're actually from Sterling Industries? My grip tightened on my keys. How do I know you're not trying to kidnap us? You don't. His expression didn't change. But I'm the only option that gets you past that crowd without your son's face ending up on every news outlet in the country. He had a point. A terrifying, undeniable point. I looked down at Silas, who was peeking around my leg at Marcus with wide eyes. Dada, he smells like the same soap as my dad's. Enigma senses. Silas could detect scent markers that I couldn't. If Marcus worked closely with the Sterling triplets, their scent would transfer. It wasn't proof, but it was something. If you try anything, I said quietly, meeting Marcus's gaze, I will make you regret it in ways you can't imagine. Something flickered in his expression. Respect, maybe. Understood, sir. Stop calling me sir. It's weird. I grabbed Silas's hand. Lead the way. Marcus moved down the hallway toward the emergency exit stairs. I followed, every instinct screaming that this was a terrible idea. But what choice did I have? We descended 3 flights of stairs in silence. Silas's hand stayed locked in mine, his little fingers squeezing tight. I could feel his nervousness bleeding through our connection, mixing with my own. The parking garage smelled like oil and exhaust. Marcus led us to a black SUV with tinted windows, opening the rear door. There's a car seat installed, he said, gesturing inside. I peered in. Sure enough, a state-of-the-art car seat sat in the back row. The exact model I'd been eyeing online but couldn't afford. How did you know his size? Mr. Sterling has been very thorough in his research. Marcus's expression remained neutral. There are also snacks in the console, organic fruit pouches and crackers. No artificial dyes or sugar, because of course they'd researched Silas's dietary restrictions. Of course they'd prepared. It should have been comforting. Instead, it felt invasive, like they'd been gathering intelligence on us, piecing together our lives from a distance. Dada, can I sit in the fancy chair? Silas tugged on my hand, excitement temporarily overriding nervousness. Yeah, baby. Let's get you buckled in. I lifted him into the car seat, working the 5-point harness while he wiggled with impatience. Marcus stood outside, giving us space, his eyes constantly scanning the parking garage. Once Silas was secure, I slid into the seat beside him. Marcus closed the door and moved to the driver's seat. Where to? He asked, starting the engine. Volunteer Park, the playground near the water tower. Not advisable, too open, easy surveillance points. I don't care. My son needs to run around before tonight, and I need to breathe air that doesn't smell like my own panic. I met his eyes in the rearview mirror. Volunteer Park, please. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. I'll do a security sweep first. The SUV pulled out of the parking garage. I caught a glimpse of the crowd at the front entrance as we passed journalists, cameras, people holding phones up, recording everything. Silas pressed his face against the window. Wow, that's a lot of people. Yeah. I pulled him back gently. Don't look at them, okay? Just sit back. Are they all looking for us? They're looking for a story. I smoothed his hair down. We're not going to give them one. The drive to Volunteer Park took 15 minutes. Marcus circled the block twice before parking, his eyes never stopping their constant scan of the surroundings. I'll maintain a perimeter, he said. Stay within visual range. You're not seriously going to follow us around the playground. I'm seriously going to make sure no one approaches you or your son. His tone left no room for argument. Mr. Sterling was very clear about your safety being the priority. I wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him to back off, that we didn't need a babysitter. But then I remembered those news vans, that crowd, the reality that Silas's face was currently trending on social media. Fine, but stay back. You're going to scare the other parents. Other parents should be scared. Marcus opened my door. Anyone could be in this park. Anyone could recognize you. You're a real ray of sunshine, you know that? The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. I've been told. Silas unbuckled himself, something he'd recently mastered and was absurdly proud of, and practically launched out of the car. Playground. Wait for me. I scrambled after him, catching his hand before he could bolt into traffic. We hold hands in parking lots. Remember? But I can see the swings. We'll get to the swings. I tightened my grip. After we crossed the street safely, Marcus flanked us as we crossed, his presence intimidating enough that cars stopped well before the crosswalk. Probably thought he was Secret Service or something. The playground was moderately crowded for a weekday afternoon. Parents clustered on benches, scrolling phones while their kids ran wild. A few looked up as we approached. Doing that quick calculation, all parents did threat assessment, playmate potential, judgmental once over. Silas dragged me toward the swings. Push me high. Not too high. You'll flip over the bar. That's the point. I got him situated on the swing, stepping back to push. The simple motion felt surreal, normal, like we were just another parent-child duo at the park, not fugitives from viral fame with a supernatural security detail. Marcus positioned himself near a tree, far enough to give us space, close enough to intervene if needed. His hand rested near his jacket, probably where he kept a weapon. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it, focused on Silas's delighted squeals as the swing arced higher. Higher. Dada. You're already at maximum safe height. Safe is boring. Safe keeps you alive. I slowed the swing down. And I'd like to keep you alive, thanks. He giggled, kicking his legs to maintain momentum. For a moment, everything felt normal, manageable. Then a woman approached from the bench area. Excuse me? She smiled, friendly but curious. Your son is adorable. How old is he? Every instinct screamed danger. 4. Mine too. The girl in the pink jacket. She gestured toward a child on the slide. They should have a play date sometime. Are you new to the neighborhood? Not really. I kept pushing Silas, avoiding eye contact. We've been here a while. Oh, you look so familiar. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Have we met before? My blood went cold. I don't think so. Wait. She pulled out her phone. Oh my God. You're him. The Omega from the news. The one with the Sterling triplets baby. Marcus moved. Fast. He was between us in seconds, his body language shifting from casual to threatening. Ma'am, I need you to step back. I just want to ask, Step back. His voice dropped to something dangerous. The woman's eyes widened. She raised her hands, backing away. Okay, sorry. But the damage was done. Other parents had noticed. Phones came out. Whispers spread through the playground like wildfire. Dada? Silas's voice trembled. Why is everyone staring? We're leaving. I lifted him off the swing mid-arc. Right now, but I didn't get to go down the slide. Later, I held him against my chest, walking fast toward Marcus. Get us out of here. Marcus was already moving, leading us back toward the SUV. Behind us, I heard the click of camera phones, voices calling out questions. Mr. Hayes, is it true the baby is an Enigma? Did you know they were triplets when you slept with them? How much child support are they paying? My shields cracked. Emotions flooded in curiosity, judgment, excitement, malice. So many minds pressing against mine, wanting pieces of our story to consume and share. Silas whimpered against my neck. Too loud. Their thoughts are too loud. Because he could feel it too. The psychic assault of dozens of people all thinking about us at once. Marcus opened the SUV door. I practically threw myself and Silas inside, slamming it shut. The tinted windows muted the crowd, but I could still see them. Phones raised, recording everything. Go, I told Marcus. Just go. The engine started. We pulled away from the curb, leaving the playground crowd behind. Silas was crying now, quiet tears streaming down his face. I don't like it when people stare. I know, baby, I know. I held him tight, rocking slightly. I'm sorry. My phone buzzed again. This time, I looked. Are you okay? Marcus said something happened at the park. We're moving the meeting location. Come to Sterling Tower. Now, you'll be safe here. D. Sterling Tower. The place I'd been avoiding for 5 years. The seat of their power. Their territory. Exactly where I didn't want to be. Dada. Silas's voice was small. Can we go see my dad's now? I don't want to be outside anymore. I looked at Marcus in the rearview mirror. At the determination in his expression. At the reality that we had nowhere else to go. Take us to Sterling Tower, I said quietly. Marcus nodded. Yes, sir. And just like that, the choice was made. We were going straight into the lion's den. 3 hours early. The city blurred past the tinted windows, but I couldn't look away from it. Every building we passed felt like a countdown. Every red light a delay before the inevitable. Seattle's downtown core rose ahead of us. Glass and steel towers reaching toward gray clouds. And somewhere in that forest of corporate power stood Sterling Tower. Waiting for us. Waiting for me. Silas had stopped crying, but his little body pressed against mine like he was trying to merge with my ribcage. His breathing came too fast, shallow, and panicked in a way that made my chest ache. Hey! I tilted his chin up gently. Look at me, baby. Gray eyes met mine. Red-rimmed, terrified. We're okay, I whispered. I promise. Nothing bad is going to happen. You're lying. His bottom lip trembled. Your heartbeat says you're scared too. Damn Enigma emotional reading. Damn my inability to hide anything from my own son. Okay, yes, I'm scared. I wiped a tear from his cheek. But sometimes being scared doesn't mean something bad will happen. Sometimes it just means something big is happening. Something that changes things. I don't want things to change. His voice cracked. I like our apartment. I like our life. I don't want those people at the park looking at us. I know. I pressed a kiss to his forehead. I don't either. Then why are we going to see them? My dad's? He said it like an accusation, like I was betraying us both. Maybe I was. Because running away doesn't work forever. The words tasted bitter. Trust me, I tried. Marcus's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, but he said nothing. Professional to the core. Probably heard everything but trained not to react. My phone buzzed again. I pulled it out with my free hand. Maya, where are you? I'm at Zeitgeist, and you're not here. Don't tell me you bailed. I typed back one-handed. Change of plans. Going to Sterling Tower. Now. Her response came in seconds. Alone? Are you insane? Not alone. Silas is with me. And their head of security. That doesn't make it better. I'm coming there. Don't do anything stupid before I arrive. I almost laughed. Too late for that. Every decision I'd made in the last 6 hours qualified as stupid. The SUV turned onto Fifth Avenue. Sterling Tower came into view, 63 floors of gleaming black glass and chrome, dominating the skyline like a monument to alpha power and wealth. My stomach twisted into knots. 5 years ago, I'd stood in the lobby of that building, trembling and terrified, about to serve drinks at a corporate gala I had no business attending. 5 years ago, three identical alphas had looked at me like I was something precious instead of disposable. 5 years ago, I'd believed just for one night that maybe I could be wanted. Then morning came, and reality crashed down, and I'd run. "We're here," Marcus said, pulling into an underground parking entrance. A security gate rolled up automatically, recognizing the vehicle. The parking garage was pristine, temperature controlled. Probably cost more per square foot than my entire apartment. Marcus parked near a private elevator, the kind that required a keycard to access. He got out first, scanning the area with professional paranoia before opening my door. "The penthouse level is restricted access," he explained. "No one gets up there without clearance. You'll be completely secure." Secure. I repeated the word like it was foreign. "Right." I unbuckled Silas and lifted him out. He wrapped his arms and legs around me like a baby koala, face buried in my neck. "I can walk," he mumbled against my skin. "I know, but I need to carry you right now. Because if I put him down, I might fall apart." Holding him kept me grounded, kept me functional. Marcus led us to the elevator. He swiped his card, pressed the button for the 63rd floor. The doors closed. My reflection stared back at me from the polished metal pale. Exhausted 28 but looking 40. Silas's dark hair contrasted against my lighter brown, but our faces shared the same bone structure, same stubborn chin, same tendency to bite our bottom lips when nervous. The elevator moved silently upward. No music, just the faint hum of machinery and my own thundering heartbeat. 50 floors. 55. 60. Data. Silas's voice was barely audible. "What if they don't like me?" Impossible. I tightened my hold on him. "You're the most likable person on the planet. What if they're mean? Then we leave." Simple as that. Complicated as everything. 63. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. I stepped into a space that could only be described as obscene wealth made physical. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the entire city. Modern furniture that probably cost more than a car. Art on the walls that looked museum quality. And standing in the center of it all, backlit by Seattle's gray skyline, three identical alphas. My breath caught. Photos didn't do them justice. Nothing could. 6'3" of broad shoulders and sharp jawlines, and eyes that tracked my every movement like predators scenting prey. Dominic in the center, hands in his pockets, expression controlled but his scent, cedar and smoke bleeding through with barely contained emotion. Adrian to the right, arms crossed. That dangerous smile I remembered playing at his lips, but his eyes were too bright, too desperate. Mason to the left, the quietest one, hands clenched into fists at his sides like he was physically restraining himself from moving. All three of them staring at me, at Silas, at the child they'd never known existed. The silence stretched. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Silas lifted his head from my shoulder. He looked at them, really looked, and his little face transformed. Wonder replaced fear. Recognition sparked in his eyes. The kind that came from blood and biology and something deeper than logic. "Dads?" he whispered. Mason made a sound. Broken. Raw. Like that single word had destroyed him. Dominic took a step forward, then stopped. "Elliot. Just my name." But the way he said it, 5 years of searching, of mourning, of hoping compressed into 2 syllables. "Hi." My voice came out steady somehow. A miracle. "Sorry we're early. There was a situation." Marcus briefed us. Adrian's eyes hadn't left Silas. "Are you both okay?" Define okay. Not hurt. Not in immediate danger. "Then yeah, we're okay." I shifted Silas's weight slightly. He'd gone still against me, watching the 3 alphas with that unnerving Enigma focus. Reading them, sensing them, learning them in ways I couldn't. "Can we?" Dominic gestured vaguely. "Can we sit? Talk?" "That's why we're here." I forced my feet to move, carrying Silas toward the seating area. My legs felt like liquid, but I made it to the couch without collapsing. The 3 of them moved like a unit, taking seats across from us, close enough to see details, far enough not to crowd, far enough that I could breathe. Except I couldn't. Not really, because their scent filled the space cedar, leather, Rain-soaked earth, the exact combination that had haunted me for 5 years. The scent that lived in my incomplete bond marks. Silas wiggled in my lap, turning to face them fully. "You look the same," he announced. "In my head, you look the same, but I wasn't sure if it was real." "You see us?" Mason's voice was soft. "Careful. In your head?" Silas nodded. "Sometimes. In dreams. And when Dada thinks about you real loud?" All three sets of eyes shifted to me. Accusatory. Hungry. "You think about us?" Adrian leaned forward slightly. "Often?" "Don't." I cut him off. "Don't make this about." I gestured between us. "Whatever this is, we're here about Silas. That's it." "That's not it." Dominic's voice turned hard. "You left. You disappeared. You carried our child and raised him alone, and now you show up and expect us to pretend that's okay? I expect you to understand I had my reasons." "What reasons?" His control cracked. "What could possibly justify?" "I was terrified." The words exploded out of me. I was 23, pregnant, and terrified that if you knew what I was, you'd... I stopped. Too much. I'd said too much. "What you were?" Mason's eyes narrowed. "Elliot, what does that mean?" Silas twisted in my lap, looking up at me. "Dada, your heart is going really fast again." "I know, baby." "Should I tell them?" His gray eyes were too knowing, too perceptive. "About your special thing? The one you hide?" My blood turned to ice. "Silas, you can read minds." He said it simply, factually, to three alphas who were now staring at me like I'd grown a second head. "Just like I can. That's why you always know when I'm lying." The silence that followed could have shattered glass. Dominic stood up so fast his chair scraped against the floor. "You can what?" "Sit down." The words came out sharper than I intended, but panic made me mean. "You're scaring Silas." "I'm not scared," Silas said, which was a blatant lie because his heartbeat was hammering against my chest. "They just smell really strong right now." Because their alpha pheromones had spiked. Cedar and smoke and rain-soaked earth flooded the room, thick enough to taste, possessive, protective, demanding. My omega biology responded against my will, a flutter low in my stomach, heat creeping up my neck, the bond marks on my skin burning like brands. "No, absolutely not." I slammed down on those instincts, forcing my body into submission through sheer spite. "Elliot," Adrian's voice dropped to something dangerous. "How long? How long what? How long have you been able to read minds?" He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Since birth? Since presentation? Since always." I tightened my arms around Silas. "It's not mind reading exactly, more like emotional radio static. I feel what people feel. Sometimes I catch surface thoughts if they're loud enough. It's not voluntary. It's not controllable. And it's why omegas like me were supposed to be eradicated 3 generations ago." The silence that followed was absolute. Mason moved first. He slid off his chair, kneeling on the floor in front of us. Eye level with Silas. Eye level with me. "Nobody," he said quietly, "is eradicating anything." "Easy for you to say." My laugh came out bitter. "You're alphas. Powerful ones. You don't know what it's like to be something the world decided shouldn't exist." "You're right. We don't." His gray eyes, the same eyes Silas inherited, held mine. "But we know what it's like to be afraid. We know what it's like to hide parts of yourself because you think people will reject you for them." "That's not the same." "Isn't it?" Dominic sat back down, but his posture stayed rigid. "You think we wanted to be triplets? To be seen as a unit instead of individuals? To have every decision questioned because people assume we're some kind of hive mind? That's not remotely comparable to being hunted." Adrian cut in. "To having your biology criminalized? No. You're right, it's not the same." His expression softened. "But we're not them, Elliot. We're not the people who made those laws. We're not the ones who would hurt you. You don't know that." My voice cracked. "You don't know what you'd do if you really understood what I am. What he is." I gestured to Silas, who had gone very still in my lap. "An enigma," Mason said. "Your son is an enigma, which means he's powerful, rare, and probably terrifying to people who don't understand him." "He's 4, I whispered. "He's just a baby." "He's our baby." Dominic's voice turned rough. "And nobody is going to hurt him. Or you. Not while we're breathing." The certainty in his voice made something crack in my chest. You can't promise that. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. You're powerful, yeah, rich, connected. But there are things in this world that don't care about money or influence. Things that would dissect an Enigma child to figure out how he works. Things that would experiment on an Omega with telepathy to see if they could replicate it. Then we'll destroy those things. Simple, final, like it was already decided. You don't understand. We understand perfectly. Adrian stood, moving closer but stopping just outside our space, not crowding, not threatening. You think we haven't spent 5 years learning everything we could about supernatural hierarchies, about organizations that traffic in rare dynamics, about government black sites that disappear people like you? My blood went cold. What? We knew you were special. Mason's voice stayed soft. Careful. That night, the way you affected all three of us simultaneously, the way your scent burned into our brains. That's not normal, Elliot. Even for true mates. So we researched. Dominic pulled out his phone, swiped a few times, then turned it toward me. We found classified reports, survivor testimonies, records of Omegas with abilities who vanished from public record. The screen showed documents, official-looking ones with government seals and redacted sections. We've been preparing, Adrian continued. For 5 years, we've been building networks, legal protections, safe houses, connections with other supernatural families who've had to hide. His jaw tightened. We were ready to protect you before we even found you. I couldn't breathe. Why? Because you're ours. Mason said it like it was obvious, like it explained everything. We felt the bond that night. Incomplete, broken, but there. And we don't abandon what's ours. I'm not, the word stuck in my throat. You don't own me. No. Dominic's expression softened. But we choose you. Every day for 5 years, we chose you. We chose the ghost of your scent. We chose the memory of one night. We chose to hope you were alive somewhere. That's insane. But my voice wavered. You could have bonded with anyone else. Moved on. We tried. Adrian laughed, but it sounded painful. God, we tried. Went on dates. Met other Omegas. Went through the motions. But nothing felt right. Nobody smelled right. Nobody was right. Because they weren't you, Mason finished. Silas shifted in my lap, looking up at me. Dada, why are you crying? I touched my face. Wet. When had that happened? I'm not. But I was. Tears streaming down my cheeks like traitors. I'm just tired, baby. You're sad. He wiped at my face with his small hand. And scared. And something else I don't have words for yet. Hopeful, Mason supplied quietly. That feeling is hope. I looked at him. At all three of them. At the sincerity in their expressions. At the way they watched Silas like he was made of something precious and breakable. I can't do this. The confession tore out of me. I can't be what you need. I'm broken. I'm terrified all the time. I have a son who can move objects with his mind and see the future and read emotions, and I don't know how to protect him. I don't know how to protect myself. I don't know how to be someone's mate when I can barely hold my own life together. You're not broken. Dominic's voice turned fierce. You survived. You protected our son for 5 years alone. You kept him safe, kept him hidden, kept him alive in a world that would destroy him if they knew what he was. That's not broken, Elliot. That's the strongest thing I've ever heard. You don't understand? Then help us understand. Adrian moved closer, slow and careful like approaching a spooked animal. Let us in. Let us help. Let us be what you needed 5 years ago. I needed someone who wouldn't run when they found out the truth. The words came out bitter. Someone who wouldn't see me as a science experiment or a security risk or a person, Mason interrupted gently. Because that's what we see, Elliot. A person. An Omega who's been carrying the weight of the world alone. A father who loves his son so much, he ran away from his own happiness to keep that son safe. That's not heroic. That's just fear. Fear that kept Silas alive. Dominic stood again, but this time his movement was slow, deliberate. He crossed to us, kneeling beside Mason. Fear that brought you back to us. Fear that's kept you fighting for 5 years. Adrian joined them, completing the half circle around us. 3 alphas, 1 Omega, 1 Enigma child between them. We're not asking you to trust us completely, Adrian said. Not yet. Trust has to be earned, but give us a chance to earn it. Give us a chance to prove we're not going to run, not going to abandon you, not going to let anyone hurt either of you. Silas wiggled out of my arms suddenly, sliding onto the floor. Before I could stop him, he walked straight to Mason. You're the one who wanted to keep me. He said it with absolute certainty. Even when Dada was scared, even before you knew about me, you wanted me. Mason's breath hitched. How did you? I can see it. In your head. Silas touched Mason's chest right over his heart. You dreamed about me, about kids, about family. You wanted it so much it hurt. A tear slid down Mason's cheek. Then Silas turned to Adrian. You were angry at Dada for leaving, but underneath you were just sad. You thought he didn't want you. Adrian's jaw clenched. Silas. And you. Silas looked at Dominic. You felt guilty, like you did something wrong, like you should have protected Dada better that night so he wouldn't be scared. Dominic's control shattered. His shoulders shook. And my son, my beautiful, impossible, too perceptive son, wrapped his little arms around all three of them. It's okay, he whispered. Dada says it's okay to be sad sometimes. I watched them, three powerful alphas brought to their knees by a 4-year-old's empathy. And something inside me, something I'd kept locked away for 5 years, started to crack open. Maybe, just maybe, we didn't have to do this alone anymore. The moment stretched, fragile and perfect, like glass about to break. Then my phone exploded with notifications. Buzzing, vibrating, the sound harsh and intrusive in the quiet intimacy we'd built. I grabbed it from my pocket, ready to silence it, but the preview messages made my stomach drop. Maya. Elliot. Check Twitter. Now. Maya. Someone leaked Silas's medical records. Maya. They know he's an enigma. The phone slipped from my fingers. Dominic caught it before it hit the floor. His alpha reflexes faster than my shock. He looked at the screen, and I watched his expression transform from confusion to fury in the space of a heartbeat. What? Adrian was on his feet. What is it? Dominic's jaw clenched so hard I heard his teeth grind. He turned the phone toward his brothers. Mason went pale. Adrian's scent turned acrid with rage. How? I whispered. The word barely made it past my throat. His records were sealed. Privacy laws. Don't mean shit when money talks. Adrian's hands curled into fists. Someone got paid. Someone always gets paid. No. I stood up, my legs shaking. No, this can't be happening. We were careful. I was so careful. Silas looked between us, his little face crumpling with confusion and fear. Dada? What's wrong? Nothing, baby. But I couldn't finish. Couldn't lie to him when my panic was bleeding through every mental shield I had. Dominic's phone rang, then Adrian's, then Mason's, all three going off simultaneously like an alarm. Don't answer them, I said frantically. Don't. Dominic answered anyway. Marcus, report. I could hear Marcus's voice through the speaker, clipped and professional but underlaid with urgency. Sir, we have a situation. Multiple news outlets are running with a story about an Enigma child connected to Sterling Industries. Social media is exploding, and we have 3 unidentified vehicles circling the building perimeter. Lock it down. Dominic's voice turned to ice. Full security protocol. Nobody in or out without my personal authorization. Already done, sir. But you should know one of the vehicles has government plates. The room tilted sideways. Government. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. They're already here. Oh God, they're already. Mason caught me before my knees gave out. Breathe, Elliot, just breathe. They're going to take him. The words came out strangled. They're going to take my baby and dissect him, and no one is taking anyone. Adrian's voice cut through my spiral. We're 63 floors up with military-grade security between us and them. They can circle all they want. They're not getting in. You don't understand. I pushed away from Mason, stumbling toward Silas. I needed to hold him. Needed to feel him solid and real and safe. You don't know what they do to enigmas, the experiments, we know. Dominic's voice turned soft. Dangerous. We've read the reports. We know exactly what they do, which is why we've been preparing for this exact scenario for 5 years. 5 years of preparation doesn't matter when they have legal authority. My voice climbed toward hysteria. They can get warrants, court orders. They can claim Silas is a national security risk, and they can try. Adrian's smile was a predator's thing. Sharp. Threatening. We own half the judges in this city. We have lawyers who specialize in supernatural rights cases. We have connections that go deeper than government bureaucracy. That won't be enough. It will be. Mason picked up Silas, who'd started crying. Because we're not just three alphas with money, Elliot. We're a pack. And packs protect their own. I'm not. But the words died. Because looking at them, at the way Mason cradled Silas, at the way Dominic and Adrian flanked us like guards, at the way their sense had wrapped around us both like a shield, I realized the truth. They already considered us pack, had considered us pack for 5 years, and I'd never let myself believe it. Sir, Marcus's voice came through the phone again. The government vehicle just deployed 4 agents. They're approaching the main entrance. Stall them. Dominic's eyes never left mine. Legal demands identification and warrants. Make them go through every bureaucratic hoop we have. Copy that. The line went dead. Silas was sobbing now, his little body shaking. I don't want to leave. I don't want them to take me. No one's taking you, baby. But my voice cracked on the words. Because how could I promise that? How could I promise anything when the world was designed to destroy people like us? Elliot. Dominic moved closer, his presence overwhelming. Look at me. I couldn't. If I looked at him, I'd shatter completely. Look at me. Command alpha voice. The kind that made Omegas obey on instinct. My eyes snapped to his against my will. I need you to trust us. His gray eyes burned with intensity. Just for right now. Just for this moment. Can you do that? I don't. Can you trust us to keep him safe? The question hung between us. Impossible. Terrifying. Because trusting them meant admitting I couldn't do this alone anymore. Meant accepting that maybe I'd been wrong to run, wrong to hide, wrong to think I could protect Silas from the entire world by myself. I can't. The confession tore out of me. I can't trust anyone with him. Not after. I stopped. But it was too late. They'd heard the hesitation, seen the flinch. After what? Adrian's voice gentled. Elliot, what happened? Nothing. That's a lie. Mason still held Silas, but his attention focused entirely on me. What happened that made you so afraid? The walls I'd built 5 years of carefully constructed barriers started crumbling. And once they started, I couldn't stop them. When I found out I was pregnant, I whispered. I went to a clinic, an Omega Health Center that was supposed to be safe, supposed to be confidential. The memory clawed its way up my throat. Sharp, painful. They did the standard tests. Blood work, ultrasound. My hands started shaking. And when the results came back, showing anomalies, genetic markers that didn't make sense, the doctor got this look on her face, like she'd found something valuable. Elliot Dominic started, but I couldn't stop now. She left the room, said she needed to consult with a specialist. Tears streamed down my face. But I heard her on the phone, heard her talking to someone about a viable specimen, an unprecedented opportunity for research. She was calling people to come get me, to take the baby for study. Jesus. Adrian's voice turned hoarse. I ran, grabbed my clothes, climbed out a window, and ran. The words came faster now, like poison I needed to purge. I was 3 months pregnant, bleeding from the IV they'd ripped out, and I ran through Seattle in a hospital gown because I knew if I stayed, they'd take my baby and I'd never see him again. The silence that followed was deafening. That's why you hid. Mason's voice broke. That's why you ran from us. I thought everyone would try to take him. I looked at Silas, still crying in Mason's arms. I thought the world would see him as a thing, a specimen, a weapon to be controlled, and I wouldn't let that happen. But we're not them. Dominic's hands clenched. We would never. How was I supposed to know that? The anger surprised me. 5 years of buried rage suddenly erupting. You were powerful alphas I'd met once. At a corporate gala where I was paid to serve you drinks. You lived in a penthouse. I lived in a studio with 3 roommates. You had everything. I had nothing. And when I woke up marked by all 3 of you, the first thing I felt was terror. Because of the power imbalance. Adrian's voice turned cold. Not at me, at himself. Because we took advantage. No. I cut him off. You didn't. That night was consensual. Beautiful even. But the morning after, reality crashed down. Because I was an Omega with illegal abilities, pregnant by 3 Alpha CEOs, and I knew that if you found out what I was, you'd have to choose. Your reputation's an empire, or the broken Omega and his impossible child. You really think we'd choose wrong? Not a question, an accusation. I think everyone chooses wrong when it comes to people like me. My voice turned bitter. History proves it. Statistics prove it. Every Omega with abilities who ever trusted the system ended up disappeared or dead. Silas's crying had quieted to hiccups. He reached for me, and Mason handed him over without hesitation. I held my son, breathing in his scent, trying to ground myself. So yes, I whispered, I'm terrified. I'm terrified of you, of them, of everyone. Because the moment I trust someone, the moment I let my guard down, is the moment someone takes him from me. Dominic's phone buzzed. He looked at it, and his expression turned to stone. They're demanding immediate access, he said quietly. They have a federal warrant for Silas's detainment, signed by a judge we don't control. My world ended. The warrant felt like a death sentence written in legal language. No. The word ripped from my throat, primal and desperate. No, they can't. We have to run. We have to. Running won't work this time. Dominic's voice stayed level, but his sense spiked with barely controlled rage. They have your name, Silas's face. They'll find you in hours. Then I'll hide better. Elliot. Adrian grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to look at him. Listen to me. Running means Silas grows up in hiding. Never going to school. Never having friends. Never having a life. Is that what you want for him? I want him alive. My voice cracked. I want him safe. Then let us fight. Mason's voice cut through my spiral. Let us do what we've been preparing for. Let us protect you. How? I clutched Silas tighter. He'd gone silent against my chest, but I could feel his little heart racing. They have a warrant. Legal authority. How do you fight that? By being richer, meaner, and more connected than they are. Adrian's smile turned vicious. By making it so expensive and complicated to take our son that they give up and move on to easier targets. Our son. The words hit me like a slap. You keep saying that, but he's my son. I'm the one who carried him, raised him, protected him. Dominic moved closer, his presence overwhelming. We know, and we're not trying to take that from you. But biology doesn't lie, Elliot. He's ours too, and we protect what's ours. You can't just claim him because of genetics. We're not claiming him because of genetics. Mason's voice gentled. We're claiming him because he's Pack. Because the moment you walked through that elevator door, everything changed. You became ours to protect. Both of you. I don't need. Yes, you do. Adrian cut me off. And you know what? That's okay. Needing help doesn't make you weak. It makes you smart enough to recognize when you're outmatched. My phone rang. Maya's name flashed on the screen. I answered with shaking hands. Maya, don't talk, just listen. Her voice came fast and breathless. I'm in the lobby. There are 4 federal agents down here flashing badges and throwing around words like national security and immediate custody. Building security is stalling. But Elliot, they're not going to hold them long. I know. They're saying Silas is dangerous, that he needs to be contained for public safety. They have doctors with them. Specialists. Her voice dropped. The kind that study supernatural anomalies. My vision blurred at the edges. Specialists. Doctors. Just like the clinic 5 years ago. How long? My voice came out hollow. 10 minutes. Maybe 15 if security really drags their feet. But Elliot. She paused. One of them is psychic. I can feel him trying to push into my head. If you're planning something, do it fast before he senses Silas's location. The line went dead. A psychic. They'd brought a psychic to track us. To pin down exactly where Silas was in this building. We're out of time. I looked at the 3 alphas, at their identical faces showing identical determination. They'll be here in minutes. Then we move now. Dominic was already pulling out his phone. Marcus, execute Protocol 7. Full media blackout and legal bombardment. I want every news outlet in Seattle running interference stories. I want our lawyers filing injunctions with every judge we own. And I want our PR team painting this as government overreach targeting a child. Sir, Protocol 7 is. I know what it is. Execute it. Now. He hung up and turned to Adrian. Call Senator Morrison. Tell him we're cashing in every favor he owes us. I want this warrant challenged at the federal level within the hour. Adrian was already dialing, phone pressed to his ear as he paced toward the windows. Mason moved to me, his gray eyes intense. Elliot, I need you to do something, and you're not going to like it. What? Suspicion sharpened my voice. I need you to let us mark you. He said it gently, but the words still hit like a bomb. Complete the bond. Right now. Are you insane? I stumbled backward. You want to in the middle of this. A completed PAC bond gives us legal rights. His voice stayed calm despite my panic. Parental rights. The right to challenge custody claims. The right to fight for Silas as his fathers instead of as strangers making claims. No. I shook my head violently. No. Bonding is permanent. You can't just... We know. Dominic moved to flank me, his scent wrapping around us. We've known what we wanted for 5 years, Elliot. This isn't sudden. This isn't panic. This is us choosing you. Choosing him. Choosing us. But my throat closed. Because what if I said yes and they regretted it? What if the bond trapped them with someone broken? What if... Dada. Silas's small voice cut through my spiral. They smell like home. I looked down at him. At his gray eyes, their eyes watching me with that Enigma knowing. They smell like the dreams I have, he continued, his voice soft. The good ones, where we're all together and no one's scared. Tears burned down my cheeks. Baby, this is grown-up complicated. No, it's not. He touched my chest, right over my racing heart. You're just scared. But they're not leaving. I can feel it. They're going to stay. Silas. Let them help, Dada. Please. His bottom lip trembled. I don't want the scary men to take me. The elevator dinged. My blood turned to ice. That's not them. Adrian's voice came sharp from across the room. Marcus would have warned us. But the elevator doors opened anyway, and Maya stumbled out, her face pale and sweating. They're coming, she gasped, hands on her knees. The psychic broke through security. He knows you're on this floor. You have maybe 2 minutes. Fuck. Dominic's control shattered. He turned to me, and for the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. Elliot, please, let us do this. Let us protect you the only way that matters legally. Bonding takes time. Emergency bonds don't. Mason moved closer. A mark from all 3 of us, a scent claim. It won't be complete, but it'll be enough for legal standing. And if you regret it, my voice broke. If you realize I'm too broken, too damaged, then we figure it out. Adrian crossed back to us. But right now, our son needs us to be a pack. Legally, officially, undeniably. Our son, not theirs, not mine, ours. The words settled into my chest like a key finding its lock. Okay. The whisper barely made it past my lips. Okay, do it. Dominic moved first. He tilted my chin up gently, his eyes searching mine. This is consent? Clear, willing consent? Yes. I forced the word out stronger. Yes. Mark me. His lips found the bond scar on my neck, the incomplete mark from 5 years ago. The moment his teeth sank into old scar tissue, the world exploded into sensation. Cedar and smoke flooded my senses. The incomplete bond roared to life, pulling tight like a rope, finally finding tension. My omega biology sang with recognition and relief and rightness. He pulled back and Adrian took his place. Different side of my neck, different scar, same devastating intensity. Leather and rain, sharp and overwhelming. The second bond mark blazed to life. And I felt Adrian's emotions bleeding through fierce protectiveness, deep regret for lost time, unwavering determination. Then Mason, the gentlest of them, the one who'd held me last that night 5 years ago. His mark settled over the third scar like a benediction. Rain-soaked earth, solid ground beneath my feet. Safety I'd been running from. 3 bonds, 3 alphas, 1 omega. Pack. The elevator dinged again. The doors opened, and 4 federal agents stepped out, flanked by doctors in white coats. The lead agent's eyes locked onto Silas. We have a warrant for the detention of... Touch him and die. Dominic's voice dropped to something inhuman. Alpha command multiplied by 3, backed by fresh bond marks and pack fury. The agent actually stumbled backward. That child, Dominic continued, his scent flooding the space with dominance, is under the protection of Sterling Pack. Any attempt to remove him will be met with legal action, physical resistance, and the full weight of our resources. And we have extensive resources. Sir, we have a federal warrant, which my lawyers are currently shredding in 6 different courts. Adrian moved to stand beside his brother. You have no jurisdiction over Pack business, especially when the Pack in question owns enough of Seattle's infrastructure to make your lives very, very difficult. The child is an enigma. The child is our son. Mason's voice cut like a blade. Recently legitimized through Pack bonds. You can see the fresh marks. Smell the completed bonds. By supernatural law, you have no claim. The psychic, a thin man in his 40s, stepped forward. I can sense his power. He's dangerous. He's 4. I found my voice finally. Found my strength. He's 4 years old and you're terrifying him. Get out of our home. This isn't. It's our primary residence as of 10 minutes ago. Dominic pulled out his phone, showed them a document. Property deed, transferred, recorded, legal. This penthouse is Sterling Pack territory, and you're trespassing. The agents looked at each other, uncertain, outmaneuvered. This isn't over, the lead agent said finally. Yes, Adrian smiled, vicious and sharp. It is. They left, back into the elevator. Gone. The moment the doors closed, my legs gave out. All 3 alphas caught me. We've got you, Mason whispered against my hair. We've got both of you. Always. And for the first time in 5 years, I let myself believe it. The floor felt solid beneath me, but I couldn't trust it. Couldn't trust that the agents were really gone. Couldn't trust that this was over. Couldn't trust that I wasn't about to wake up in my apartment, alone, with Silas crying and the world still hunting us. Breathe. Dominic's voice rumbled against my ear. Just breathe, Elliot. I tried. Drew in air that tasted like cedar and smoke, and rain and safety. Drew in air that felt impossible after 5 years of holding my breath. They're really gone. My voice came out small, broken. They're gone. Adrian's hand settled on my back, warm and grounding. And they're not coming back. Not without going through legal hell first. But the warrant is being challenged in 6 courts simultaneously. Mason shifted Silas's weight, my son having gone quiet and watchful. By morning, it'll be tied up in so much red tape, they'll give up and move on to easier targets. That's not, I started, but Maya's voice cut me off. That's exactly how this works. She'd collapsed onto the couch, looking exhausted. Rich people don't play fair. They play expensive, and expensive wins. But what if? No. Dominic tilted my face up, forcing me to meet his eyes. No more what ifs. No more spiraling. No more carrying this alone. You're Pack now. We handle threats together. Pack. The word still felt foreign on my tongue, like trying on clothes that didn't quite fit yet. Except they did fit. The bond marks on my neck burned with proof. 3 incomplete bonds finally finding completion. 3 alphas finally claiming what they'd been searching for. 3 strangers who'd just upended their entire lives for a son they'd met 10 minutes ago. I don't understand. The confession tore out of me. Why? Why would you risk everything for us? Your reputations, your companies, because you're ours. Mason said it simply, like it explained the universe. We felt it 5 years ago. Felt the bonds snap into place the moment you walked into that gala. 3 alphas recognizing their mates simultaneously. That's not supposed to happen, but it did. So we're just what, destiny? Bitterness crept into my voice. Biological imperative? You're stuck with the broken omega because some cosmic joke decided we're compatible? No. Adrian moved into my line of sight. We're choosing you. Every day. Every moment. Bond or no bond, we'd still choose you. You don't know me. My throat tightened. You don't know what I'm like. How damaged I am. How many nightmares I have. How I can't go grocery shopping without having panic attacks. Then let us learn. Dominic's thumb brushed my cheek, catching a tear I hadn't realized had fallen. Let us know you. All of you. The broken parts and the strong parts and everything in between. I don't have strong parts. Dada. Silas's voice cut through my self-destruction. That's not true. I looked at my son, our son still cradled in Mason's arms, but reaching for me with one small hand. You're the strongest person I know, Silas continued, his gray eyes solemn. You kept me safe my whole life. You made me feel loved even when you were scared. You taught me how to hide my powers so no one would hurt me. That's not weak, Dada. That's really, really strong. The sob caught me by surprise, broke through my chest like something physical. Baby. And now you don't have to do it alone anymore. His little face scrunched with concentration, like he was trying to find the right words. Now you have help. Now we have dads. He looked at the three alphas surrounding us. Right? You're staying? We're staying. Mason's voice cracked. Forever. If your Dada lets us. All three sets of eyes turned to me, waiting, hoping, and I realized they were just as terrified as I was, just as uncertain. Three powerful alphas brought to their knees by a 4-year-old and the Omega who'd run from them. I don't know how to do this. The admission felt like stepping off a cliff. I don't know how to be in a pack, how to trust, how to let people in. I'm so used to walls and running and being alone that I don't. Then we'll figure it out together. Adrian knelt in front of me. We'll make mistakes. We'll mess up. We'll probably drive each other crazy. But we'll do it together. What if I can't be what you need? The question I'd been carrying for 5 years finally broke free. What if I'm too broken? What if? You're not broken. Dominic's voice turned fierce. You're a survivor. There's a difference. Survivors have scars. So do we. Mason shifted closer, still holding Silas. You think we're perfect? We've spent 5 years building an empire to distract ourselves from the hole you left. We've pushed away every Omega who showed interest because they weren't you. We've had nightmares about finding you hurt or dead or... His voice broke. We're just as damaged, Elliot. Just in different ways. But you have each other. You're triplets. You've never been alone. We've been alone since the night you left. Adrian's eyes glistened. 3 bodies moving through the world like ghosts. Going through motions. Building wealth and power because we didn't know what else to do with the emptiness. And then today, Dominic's hand found mine, threading our fingers together. Today we found out we have a son. And suddenly, everything makes sense. Every sleepless night, every failed relationship, every moment we felt incomplete, it was because our family wasn't whole yet. Family. I tested the word. Let it settle. I haven't had family since my mom died. You have it now. Mason pressed a kiss to Silas's head. If you want it. Want. Such a simple word for such a complicated feeling. Did I want this? Want them? Want to risk everything I'd built, my walls, my safety, my independence for the possibility of something more? I looked at Silas, at his hopeful face, at the way he'd already melted into Mason's hold like he'd been there his whole life. I looked at Maya, watching from the couch with tears streaming down her face and a smile on her lips. I looked at 3 alphas who'd just fought federal agents for us, who'd marked me without hesitation, who'd claimed a son they'd just met like he'd always been theirs. And I realized the truth I'd been running from for 5 years. I'd wanted this. All of it. From the moment I'd woken up tangled between them, bond marks burning on my neck, I'd wanted them. Wanted the safety. Wanted the belonging. Wanted the family. I'd just been too terrified to believe I deserved it. Okay. The word came out barely audible. Okay, I want this. I want. My voice broke. I want to try. I want to let you in. I want Silas to have his father's. I want. I didn't get to finish. Dominic kissed me, soft and desperate, and 5 years of longing compressed into one moment. His lips tasted like salt from my tears or his. I couldn't tell. When he pulled back, Adrian took his place. Different kiss. Deeper. Hungrier. Like he was trying to memorize me through touch alone. Then Mason, still holding Silas with one arm, cupped my face with his free hand. His kiss was gentle. Reverent, like I was something precious he'd been afraid to break. Ew. Silas's voice cut through the moment. Kissing is gross. Despite everything, the fear, the tears, the overwhelming emotions, I laughed. Real laughter that felt like sunlight after years of rain. You'll change your mind about that in about 15 years. Maya called from the couch, grinning. Never. Silas said it with the absolute certainty only a 4-year-old could manage. Kissing is gross forever. Sure, baby. I reached for him, and Mason handed him over carefully. Whatever you say. Silas wrapped his arms around my neck, and I felt his heartbeat against mine. Steady, safe, home. Are we staying here? He asked quietly. In the big fancy building? I looked at the three alphas. At the penthouse that was now apparently our primary residence. At the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city that had been hunting us. I don't know. I looked at Dominic. Are we? That's your choice. His voice gentled. This can be home base, safe territory. But we have other properties. A house on Bainbridge Island. A cabin near Mount Rainier. Wherever you feel safest. I want the one with a backyard. Silas perked up. For playing. And maybe a dog. Can we get a dog? Baby, we just became a pack like 10 minutes ago. Maybe slow down on the dog negotiations. But dogs are important. He looked at Mason with those devastating gray eyes. Don't you think dogs are important? Mason melted visibly. I think dogs are very important. We're getting a dog, aren't we? I sighed. Probably 3. Adrian grinned. 1 from each of us. That's not how. But looking at their faces, at Silas's excitement, at the family forming around us, I couldn't finish the protest. Fine. 3 dogs. But you're cleaning up after them. Deal. All 3 said it simultaneously. Maya snorted from the couch. You're all insane. I love it. Speaking of, I looked at my best friend. Are you okay? That psychic tried to get in your head? I'm fine. Pissed off, but fine. She stood, stretching. And on that note, I'm going to leave you to your, she gestured vaguely at all of us, pack bonding situation. But Elliot? Her expression turned serious. I'm proud of you. For letting them in. For choosing to try. Thank you. The words felt inadequate. For everything. For being here. Shut up before you make me cry again. She grabbed her purse. I'll see you tomorrow. We have damage control to strategize. Those news outlets aren't going to manipulate themselves. Marcus appeared from somewhere, probably watching security feeds to escort Maya to the elevator. Then it was just us. Pack. Silas needs dinner. I said it because someone had to address practical things. And a bath. And bed. His routine is, we'll figure it out. Dominic touched my shoulder. Together. 1 step at a time. I'm not hungry. Silas yawned, contradicting himself. I'm just sleepy. Liar. I kissed his forehead. You're always hungry. Maybe a little hungry. Mason moved toward what I assumed was a kitchen. What is he like? Dinosaur chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, anything shaped like an animal. I followed, Silas heavy in my arms. And no vegetables unless they're hidden. Smart kid. Adrian grinned. The kitchen was ridiculous marble counters, professional-grade appliances, enough space to feed an army. Mason started pulling out ingredients like he actually knew what he was doing. You cook? Surprise colored my voice. Someone had to. He smiled. Dominic burns water. Adrian thinks takeout is a food group. I resent that. Adrian leaned against the counter. I know how to use a microwave. That's not cooking. Watching them bicker felt surreal. Normal. Like we'd been doing this for years instead of minutes. Silas wiggled out of my arms, exploring the kitchen with wide eyes. Can I help? Absolutely. Mason crouched to his level. Want to mix the cheese sauce? Yeah. I watched my son, our son, standing on a step stool beside his father, carefully stirring a pot while Mason guided his hands. Watched Dominic and Adrian setting the table with plates that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Watched our family, our pack forming in real time. You okay? Dominic appeared beside me. I don't know. Honesty felt easier now, safer. This doesn't feel real. It is real. He pulled me against his side. And tomorrow when you wake up, we'll still be here. And the day after that. And every day after until you believe it. That might take a while. We have time. His lips brushed my temple. We have all the time in the world. Dinner was chaotic. Silas talked non-stop about everything and nothing. His favorite cartoons, his drawings, his theories about why dinosaurs were better than dragons. The triplets listened like he was revealing the secrets of the universe, asking questions, genuinely engaged. Bath time was an adventure involving too much soap, accidental flooding, and 3 alphas discovering that 4-year-olds had zero concept of staying still. He's like a greased eel, Adrian complained, trying to corral Silas back into the tub. That's just kids. I laughed from the doorway. You get used to it. How? Mason looked genuinely baffled, soap in his hair. Practice. Lots and lots of practice. Eventually we got Silas clean, dried, and into pajamas. He insisted on sleeping in The big bed, Dominic's California king with all of us. That's not, I started. But Silas's pleading look stopped me. Please? Just tonight? I want to make sure this is real too. How could I argue with that? So we all piled into bed. Silas in the middle, me on one side, three alphas arranged around us like guards. Safe, protected, family. Dada. Silas's voice came sleepy in the darkness. Are you happy? The question lodged in my throat. Was I happy? After years of fear and running and barely surviving? Yeah, baby. I kissed his forehead. I think I am. Good. He yawned, burrowing deeper into the blankets. You deserve happy. Within minutes, he was asleep. Soft snores filling the quiet. He's right, you know. Mason's voice came from the darkness. You do deserve happy. So do you. I looked at each of them, barely visible in the dim light. All of you? Then let's be happy together. Dominic's hand found mine under the blankets. Messy and complicated and imperfect. But together. Together. I repeated it like a vow. I can do together. Sleep pulled at me. Exhaustion from the longest day of my life finally catching up. But before I surrendered to it, I felt three distinct presences in my mind. Three bonds, glowing like golden threads, connecting us. Pack bonds, family bonds, home. For the first time in 5 years, I let myself believe in tomorrow. Epilogue. 6 months later. The backyard of our Bainbridge Island house smelled like ocean and pine and happiness. Silas chased 3 dogs, a golden retriever, a husky, and a German shepherd around the lawn, his laughter echoing across the property. He'd grown taller, stronger, more confident, more safe. He's going to sleep for 12 hours tonight. Adrian appeared beside me with coffee, wrapping an arm around my waist. Good. He needs it. I leaned into him. They all need it, including you. Mason emerged from the house carrying fresh croissants. You've been working too hard on that Omega advocacy project. Someone has to. But I accepted a croissant, biting into buttery perfection. Besides, it's important. Making sure other Omegas with abilities don't have to hide like I did. And you're changing the world. Dominic joined us, completing our small circle. One legal precedent at a time. In 6 months, everything had changed. The Sterling triplets had used their influence not just to protect us, but to start dismantling the systems that endangered people like Silas and me. Legal advocacy, safe houses, protection networks. We were building something better. Dada, watch this, Silas shouted from across the lawn. He concentrated, and one of the dog toys lifted into the air, floating in gentle circles while the dogs barked excitedly below. No more hiding, no more fear. Just a little boy learning his powers in safety. He's getting stronger, pride filled Dominic's voice. He has good teachers. I looked at my pack, my family, my home. We all do. Ready? Adrian checked his watch. Maya's going to kill us if we're late to Silas's birthday party. 2 more minutes. I savored the moment. The peace. The joy that felt impossible 6 months ago. Silas ran over, dogs bounding behind him. Can I ride in Papa's car? It goes really fast. Nice try, kid. Mason ruffled his hair. You're riding with Dada in the responsible adult car. But that's boring. That's safe. I corrected, pulling him into a hug. And we like safe, remember? Yeah. But he was grinning. I still think fast is better. When you're older. You always say that, and I'll keep saying it until you're 30. The drive to Seattle was easy. Comfortable. Filled with Silas's chatter, and the dog's occasional barks, and the knowledge that we were going towards something instead of running away. That night, surrounded by friends and family, and birthday cake, I watched Silas blow out his candles. What did you wish for? Maya asked. Silas looked at me. At his father's. At the life we'd built. Nothing, he said simply. I already have everything. And looking around at our pack, our family, our hard-won happiness, I realized he was right. We had everything that mattered. We had each other. A message to you. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is let people in. Let them see our scars. Let them help carry our burdens. Let them love us not despite our broken parts, but including them. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who choose us, who fight for us, who stay when running would be easier. And if you're reading this while hiding parts of yourself, while carrying weight alone, While thinking you don't deserve help or love or safety, you do. You deserve all of it. Your story isn't over. Your happy ending is still being written. And maybe, just maybe, it starts with letting someone in. With love and hope, for everyone still searching for home.